Hi, welcome to Ripples Rising, empowering voices creating waves of change. Today, I'm so excited. We're going to have a guest who is a L'Oreal Paris Woman of Worth, a pioneer in aesthetic health, and a champion for seniors and caregivers with over 40 years of leadership in skin health, wellness, and the psychology of aging. She is the founder of the Beauty Becomes You Foundation, creator of Geriatric Aesthetics, and the Senior Select Seal, ensuring that our aged loved ones receive the dignity and care they deserve. Alison O'Neill, actually, she just sent me this quote, and I love this quote. And so before I introduce her, we're going to talk about this quote. For decades, psychology and healthcare have acknowledged that how we perceive ourselves externally influences how we feel internally. In aging adults, appearance loss can challenge autonomy, confidence, and even the will to socially engage, which would be isolation. To ignore this is to misunderstand human dignity. It's time to bring aesthetic health into the conversation around aging, not as an indulgence, but as an essential component of holistic well-being. Thank you, Alison. Thank you for being on our show, Alison O'Neill.
Thank you, Jackie. It's a delight to be here. I appreciate
Right.
you
Yes.
inviting me.
So I met Alison over 6 months ago at a podcast directory, and somehow we were thrown in a room, and it's a kismet, and here we are, 6 months or more later. And I'm excited because we talk about aging and ageism and caregiving, and I hadn't really thought about it. She has a great saying. I'm saying it for you, Alison. I apologize, but it's not vanity, it's identity. And let's take it from there, Alison.
Well, thank you. Thanks for the introduction. Yeah, that's a great place to start because it's sort of the crux of everything. Um, it's not about because people think beauty, it's extremely superficial, and it's just not. Um, because the things that you mentioned in the introduction, which are so critical. People, when we talk about beauty and applying the beauty services that we offer and anybody get their hair cut, you get your nails done, you get all these things. What that ends up doing is it's sort of like when you study for a test and you get an A. And at the end of it, it's not just about the A, it's about everything you put into that, right? So in relationship to the idea of beauty, there is something, the philosophy of beauty, and it's the word aesthetics. People are more familiar with the term aesthetics today than ever. Estheticians, you might know someone that is an esthetician even today. But in the past, nobody really knew the term aesthetic or esthetician. But the term comes from the French, and it actually means the philosophy of beauty and how it makes us feel. And so when you say that it is not about vanity, it is about your identity. There's a depth to that that is the actual truth of what drives us all to take care of ourselves. And at the end of the day, when we do look better and we do take care of all the aspects of our esthete, from oral health care to hair care to skin care to how we dress, bathing on a regular basis, all those things boil down to good hygiene. And at the end of the day, when you take care of yourself, you do look better and people respond to you better. They actually think that since you can take care of yourself, that you'll be able to help them more. And so how you look is an extremely important part of being a human being, in our culture, in every culture.
I really hadn't thought about that. Or nails. You talk about the nails. Of course, everybody would love to have their hair brushed every day, which is good for scalp conditioning as
Yes.
well.
Sure.
And what you're saying, Alison, I mean, sometimes it's hard for someone to lift their arms up to brush their hair.
Sure. Mhm.
And,
Well,
you
that
said
makes
something,
you
Alison.
like, "I can't do this," right? So, you think about, like, trying to reach into a cupboard or trying to reach your feet, trying to put on a top sometimes is difficult. If you've got shoulder issues or you've got neck issues or back issues, getting dressed is a challenge. And what happens is that when we don't get those things done and we don't look a certain way, a kind of a polished way, if you will, and it's not even polished, it's just you feeling like you look your best. But if you don't have that looking back at you, it's really easy to get caught up in the I can'ts. I can't do this. I can't do that. And that's where when you do look that good and somebody says, wow, you look great today. Or even if they compliment one feature that you have, what a nice haircut, or wow, those earrings are beautiful on you. And that's a really key part of that statement, Jackie, by the way, when someone actually includes you in it, not just those are beautiful earrings, but those earrings look beautiful on you is the best way to give a compliment to somebody because you're actually complimenting them as a whole person, not just the earrings.
Oh,
So
that's
anyway,
interesting.
but that's where we feel better about ourselves. There's
Mhm.
no time. I don't know if you do this, but I would imagine most people in your audience and you and me, before we leave the house, what's the last thing you do?
Look in the mirror.
It's exactly right. If before you get out of your car, you're going to a meeting, you want to make sure there's no lipstick on your teeth or your hair is combed or whatever. Those are features that are representing us. And again, it's our identity, not our it's not about like, oh, I have to look so great. It's about I want people to think that I have capabilities. And our appearance carries that message.
It does. Yes. I
Mhm.
have to confess, as a side note and a joke, I ate a spinach crepe earlier and I had spinach in my teeth. So, last thing we do is always look in the mirror before we're ready to come on. That's right.
That's right. And, it's I think, give a lot of these talks over the years, and my original orientation was working with burn survivors, when I first started in my career, and were, people that had lupus, where, if someone that has lupus, that that has a scarring aspect to it, and people are very conscious about the loss of appearance, but that loss of appearance, and I worked with people with vitiligo and scleroderma and people with all types of conditions that alter the way they feel about the way they look. And in some cases, very real. And when we would use camouflage cosmetics and normalize the appearance, I had a clinic at Emory University, and as a psychologist, a very unique thing to do as a counselor is to be able to touch people. So one of the things I've loved about the work that we do and that I do and have done for 40 years is that I actually get to touch people where most people go in for counseling and they sit across the desk from whoever it is or across the room while they sit on a chair and talk to you about whatever it is. But when you get to touch somebody and interact with them, very few people do we allow in that space in our lives. If you pay attention, some of the interesting things are like this. You never really get closer than an arm's length away from somebody. And
Right.
that's if you're in a group. Watch the next time you're in a group, when you go to a cocktail party or you're anywhere. Just
Right.
see how close you are to the person next to you. It will
Mhm.
be a minimum of an arm's length away. That's the general distance that we keep. And it's a subconscious thing. But
Hmm.
when somebody has the opportunity, like myself as a therapist, to actually touch somebody, it breaks a barrier, it builds a bond, it breaks barriers. And so therapeutically, we can address things much more quickly, which is why, I developed both Senior Select Seal and the certification mark for the beauty professionals, as well as my charity, which we've had for 20 years, Beauty Becomes You. And when we provide these services, the beautiful thing that happens is people actually come. We've had traditionally what we call a day of timeless beauty, and that's where we would set up like a pop-up spa, and we would have anywhere from 25 to 350 people in a day come for hair, skincare, nails, massage, and we would touch them with all professionals or students in the business. And they the people that provide these services, first of all, love their field so much, and they just want people to feel good when they leave. And that's exactly what happens in in this particular, modality of care. And but what we've seen happen as a result of one day of intervention, men and women both, by the way, get the treatments. And we have program directors that contact us and say, Mr. or Mrs. So and so hadn't been to dinner in a long time. And a lot of people don't have family around them. They don't have anyone around them. And they begin to feel less significant. And it's extremely important, as simple as this seems. It's very important because it restores the person's sense of dignity,
Mhm.
sense of who they are and value and worth. And so they decide, this is the program directors report to us all the time. Mr. or Mrs. So and so hasn't been at dinner in a long time. Now they're coming for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Now
Mm.
they're joining in social activities. Now they're taking their medications better than they were before. And when I say come to dinner or breakfast, that also, with the isolation you mentioned in the introduction, which is so critical,
It
this
is.
makes people feel a part again of their community.
Yeah.
And wherever that community is, large or small. And it's not, it's not. Remember when we were in high school and people said, "Oh, they're so stuck up." It's has nothing to do with. And by the way, people who are stuck up have a great deal of low self-image, but they. But in this case, people actually are revived, literally revived.
Yes. Yes, it's I dare say, like, when it's a rainy weekend and I'm on a farm and I might be in my dirty blue jeans, my ball cap, and I feel the best that way, but there's nobody that's going to see me except my husband. God love him, because I got my ball cap on and maybe a dirty shirt, dirty jeans, or whatever. I've been out in the farm, and
But you're
you know,
doing something you love, you see,
I
and
love.
the
Yeah.
message for you is, "I can do it." If you've been out there tipping cows, or I don't know what you do on your farm, I don't even know what that means. I think that means you push them over or something,
Yeah,
but,
just push me over.
if whatever you do that sense of "I can do it"
Yes.
is really what we all need to feel,
Oh,
because
you're
at
right.
the end of the day, the most important thing to all of us lifelong is having a purpose and meaning. And
Yes.
so when you go out there, listen, I always I look at women who love gardening, or anyone that loves gardening, or anybody that is doing what they love to do. And I
Mhm.
think everybody can always understand this, is that there is an essence that flows with people when they are doing what they love to do, and
Yeah.
that they're feeling great about this. If you're a gardener, and this feeling, if you're a gardener and you're planting bulbs, or you're tilling the soil, or I just love seeing women and men both, but it strikes me that women, because they're lovely, they were covered in dirt, but
Or
they might have their gray hair, they're pushing it back, or it's not about perfection and appearance. This is not about that. This is about an essence that we carry with us,
yes.
that shines through when we feel good about ourselves, and
Mhm.
that we know we still have a purpose and meaning and a value.
And that's really, really, really important, Allison. And to take it to a further level, like you're saying, if somebody's in a assisted living
Mhm.
or nursing home, even if you're in a nursing home, that depending on the level that they are at, where someone can still put on some lipstick
Or
and a
your
little bit
caregivers.
of makeup to feel good, just to get out of that door, get out of that room, through that door, to move, to go see a friend for the lunch or something, just to get out that door might take everything of their essence to do that.
Yeah, it's very true. But there's people, there's women, and there's men. There's a lot of men who really care about their aesthete, but women that I think about, like I always use my mom for example, because she always got up every day and got dressed. And I'm telling you, to the last day she died, and she was very ill, but she made it a point to get up and get out and be around people. And
Mm.
we live. This is in fact my mother's home, and this is her tea set that I'm getting ready to pack up, because we sold the house and it's very difficult
Mhm.
time, but it's also a very important time, recognizing that, this is representing, a life of value and importance. But the thing about, yeah, getting up, getting dressed, getting a shower, and we've talked about, some people, friends, I have a friend who has Parkinson's, and she lives in a memory care. It's extremely important to her to get up and get dressed, and
Yeah.
she has to help. She needs help totally getting dressed, getting
Yeah.
bathed, in every aspect. She no longer has that capability, but she does have her mind, and she
Mm.
lets them know, I want to put lipstick on before I go out. I want a little color. I want a little, I want to wear this dress. This is what I want to wear, and they'll help her. But those things
Mhm.
are her identity. Again,
Yes.
that's the core of this.
Yes, yes. Let's take a short break and we'll be right back with Alison O'Neill. Hi, I'm Jacqueline Ryan, host of Ripples Rising and the author of Caregivers, Caretakers Exposing Fraud in Senior Care. Don't let my story become yours. My story is of both my parents who were financially exploited on different occasions through home care agencies. Can you fathom having home care agency people coming into your vulnerable loved ones' homes and they're not fingerprinted or background checked? Having my book will help better qualify the home care agency and even the individual caregiver. Follow me on caregiverscaretakers.com. Don't let my story be yours and join the movement for long term care for better reform. All right, Alison, thank you.
Yeah.
So, talking about your identity, it's very important what you're talking about, how to look, and how you look is how you can feel better about yourself, huh?
Yeah, years and years ago, I helped develop a program that relates to exactly that for the American Cancer Society. It's called Look Good, Feel Better. That program was the first to really begin to recognize that when appearance changed due to the chemotherapy and other aspects of living with the side effects of the chemotherapy and even radiation treatments,
Mm.
that look good, feel better indeed make people feel better overall, gave them motivation and incentive and drive, and at a time that's so challenging. And that's the same with aging. And when I talk about aging to people, for years people say, why are you helping old people? And I would say, what do you mean? At the time I started my charity, Beauty Becomes You, that was in the early 2000s, and um, the primary charities that were out there were for cancer and were for children.
Right.
And since then, and there were about 70,000 charities around the country when I started. There are now 1.7 million charities in this country.
Ah,
So there is a lot to be said for, um, the fact that, number one, that says a lot that there are a lot of great people out there that want to help other people. I love that. But at the end of the day, whether it's cancer, whether it's arthritis, whether it's Alzheimer's and dementia, whether it's Parkinson's, whether it's ALS, whether it's all of the conditions of aging, it's not just one. I'm not just taking care of people who are getting older, taking care of people who are living at a most important time. My company, Senior Select Seal, I called it that after much thought and even focus groups where we said, is the word senior the right word to use? We also asked about the word select versus safe. So Senior Select Seal is like the Good Housekeeping seal. For some people know that in your audience, but it's we test products for ease of use and packaging for easy opening, and we use seniors who are our experts to do that testing because they not only are expert at being older, but they were retired marketing people and lawyers and rocket scientists and all the things they've done in their lives, been caregivers for children and their husbands or wives, and they are the experts. So when people say to me, is senior the best word? This is my total belief about the word senior. It is one of the most it's the highest honor term. You work your whole school life to become a senior in high school, a senior in college, a senior executive, a senior officer. And then when you become a senior in life, it becomes a negative thing. But it's not. It's at the most important, and we need to my little tagline is we're changing the way society looks at seniors
mm-hmm.
because it's a powerful term
It is.
because of senior citizen becoming, and this is what happened because of Social Security and senior citizens going on Social Security when it was first developed, it became this idea that once you retire, you're no longer of value. But I
Right.
think I can vouch for the fact that people don't lose their value. And in fact, I'm sure your audience are big advocates and realize that as well. And
Yeah.
that's why we need to spread the word, because we have to change the way society looks at seniors, because we
Oh,
are a powerful group. We are
yeah.
knowledgeable. We are loving. We are contributors. You don't stop contributing. And
No.
even people in continuing care residents, where they need nursing care or whatever, they're so important to recognize that even someone with Alzheimer's that's at a very severe level, or other people that are more infirmed on that level of with any condition, your purpose is look at the people whose lives you're changing because they have a job.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a really important purpose in life. And
Mm-hmm.
you have just made a difference in not only their lives, but their families' lives. And I think if we can get people to understand the depth of we're all here for a reason, and until we're not supposed to be here any longer. So I
Right.
believe
Right.
God has that plan. But that's just it. We just have to keep looking for what is our purpose.
You mentioned a while ago, and how can we do this? So, which I'm not connected to. Would it be high school or it be VOTEC people, students who are learning to cosmetology school?
Right.
How would you incorporate the students to what come to an assisted living place or nursing home or
Yeah.
have you done this?
Oh
What
gosh, yeah. Well, that's the Day of Timeless Beauty. And the Day of Timeless Beauty is when we bring together the volunteers, the students, et cetera. And we've held them in Atlanta, we've held them up in New York State, and it's a great program. Now we'll still have those. We're developing chapters around the country for Beauty Becomes You. And I have two things. First of all, so Beauty Becomes You, we want volunteers, and so I want to ask your audience if they would mind sharing this information with their beauty professionals and with students who they know maybe, about the opportunity to go on beautybecomesyou.org, beautybecomesyou.org, and then sign up to be a volunteer. We actually created something. It was my dream to have a geolocator, which means when you go on and you put your zip code in, actually you don't even need to do that today. You just go on and it already knows where you're coming from, and it'll tell you who's closest to you. But right now we're building that, so we need more volunteers, and all they have to do is go on and become a volunteer. And we do a little background check, maybe here and there, because we do ask for their licenses. We do ask for what their interests are, and then what we'll do. This is the plan: as we get more people in an area, or we would come to your area if we can get, and we'll put a program together so we can gather people from your area and create a chapter
Mm.
for Beauty Becomes You. But I also develop, because during the training for the volunteers for Beauty Becomes You, I realized this is an opportunity and another for professionals around the world to become Senior Select certified. And so I developed an online training program, and that's on my seniorselectseal.com
Mhm.
website. And so people can do an online training and become Senior Select certified providers. And that training, I want them to recognize the conditions of aging, all the ones we talked about in this program, and more. Know how to respond at their level. They're not going to become medical professionals, but
Mhm.
there's a discomfort, or an uncomfortableness. Maybe that's a better way to say it. When someone comes in that you're not familiar with, how to move somebody safely if they have Parkinson's, or how to speak to somebody who has Alzheimer's or dementia. Those kinds of things are really, really wonderful to know for professionals who really care about the work they're providing. And I believe every professional in the beauty profession cares about their clients. So seniorselectseal.com is where that training is. And I'm very excited about that too. And actually, that's another, we use another geolocator there. So once somebody becomes certified, we have a geolocator for people to find people who are certified. And again, both of these geolocators are new, so they're building them. So anybody that can help us get the word out, I really appreciate it.
Cool. How long does it take to be certified as a senior
Select
CLC?
Oh, that's a very good question. Well, the training online is as long as you want. You can stop in the middle of it and come back to it. So, but you could complete it in a day or 2. You know, it's not a full 8 hours, 8 hours. The first module is up now, and it might take you a few hours to do that. But then we'll be inviting you back for module 2, which will be launched in the middle of May. And that will be the one where we begin diving more into the conditions of aging. And so at that point, that will probably take a little bit longer. But you know, since it's online, what tends to happen is people will like, oh, I got to go, you know, put my pasta on or something for dinner, and they come back later. But or they have to take care of a child or do something. So, but it's really at your own pace. But it's a probably 2 to 3 day process for the most part. And then we're going to do in-person training at varied conferences. I'm speaking at something called the IECSC. There are 35,000 people who attend this meeting. This one is in Fort Lauderdale in August. So I'll be speaking there. I'll be speaking at 3 other conferences around the country this year as well, and introducing it, and hopefully being able to do some hands-on and one-on-one training. And of course, we've talked about this, but you know, those are the 2 websites. But if people are social media savvy, the Instagram site is called Aging Beautifully Today. And that's also my Facebook page. So those also growing and new. You can look under Alison O'Neill. I have thousands there, but under Aging Beautifully Today and Instagram, I'm so delighted by that, and I have help with it. So I know it looks good, but I have a lot of help behind the scenes. And I just love that. But anybody that has any questions, I come from a dermatology background and psychology, and then the cosmetic part. So for 40 years in dermatologic rehabilitation, I take it very seriously. It's not, again, it's not just about superficial beauty. It's about understanding the skin, the hair, the scalp, knowing when there's fragilities that we need to take into into concern. Um, and kind of consideration, and that you know, those are the keys that open the doors for so many people. And again, it's not simple. It is a very important part that we are able to touch other people. And my mother gave me a sign before she died. She actually gave it to me several years ago, but and it says, loves to touch and heal the soul. And that is what we do. So it cannot be taken for granted that this is
No.
superficial or simple.
Well, because as you said, that profession of cosmetology, esthetician, beauty has a license to touch.
That's right. Thank you for reminding. That's right. Exactly what I say. That's right. And they
Yes.
do. And I recently won a big award, and that's what I said to the crowd, and I don't think they even think about that. And there were a lot of cheers when I said, you know, we're a profession that's licensed to touch in a kind way. All these other medical professionals and even caregivers that have to do bathing and dressing, they're not always touching people in the most kind way. And
No.
this is something that's an enjoyable, for the most part, experience. And
Yeah.
it's something that, you know, another great thing for caregivers. I mean, caregivers to me, I was a caregiver for the last 5 years, and it just, I know the weight that it carries.
Mhm.
And when you're the primary person in your family, and there's generally one person in a family, right, that takes their time away from their own life.
Yep.
It's not, and it's not about being selfish for caregivers. I'm a great advocate because it's about being healthy, selfish. And my own therapist told me that once. And she said, you know, this is what it's called. And it made so much sense to me and wasn't anything that I ever thought of because I'm one of those people that just gives and gives and gives. And
Yeah.
I'm going to give a little tip to your audience too for them. I want them to get a glass of water. Just put it on your sink in the kitchen.
Mhm.
And everybody can do this. Fill it to the brim. Fill it just above the brim, and you'll see that it kind of mounds up there. Now, leave it for a day or two, and it'll evaporate. But your job is to keep it full, and you can give away anything that flows over the top. And when you begin to live your life where you're giving away what flows over the top, sometimes you have more than you have other times. But this is a reminder, and it's a great exercise And it just keeps your mind, like, reminding yourself to take care of yourself, and don't, because if you can't take care of yourself, you can't take care of anybody else.
That's what we say. That's what we say. Take care of you first to take care of others later.
That's right.
So on that note, we're about ready to run out of time. What's the
Okay.
best way? You mentioned your websites. Mention your websites
Yeah.
again, and the best way to contact you.
Okay. Well, the website seniorselectseal.com and beautybecomesYou.org,
Hmm?
and on Instagram, Aging Beautifully Today. And that's it.
Okay. Great, great.
Yeah.
Thank you, Alison, a fellow rippler in the world of beauty.
Yeah.
And I'm so excited she was here. She didn't mention, but she won first place in the skins game in Dallas last weekend. So congratulations
Thank
on that.
you for
The
that.
first time she'd ever participated, and she won first place.
Well, I thought L'Oreal Paris was big, and it is. But when you're recognized by your peers, it is huge. So, of course, L'Oreal Paris is my peer too, but these were
Yes.
more estheticians. So,
Yes.
thank you for mentioning that. Thanks,
Absolutely.
everybody.